Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, March 29th, 2019.
Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, Davis, and Caloza are present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA.
Good morning, Steve Chen, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Kim Fitzpatrick, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Michael Ruiz, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Jay Wong, Street Lighting.
Good morning, Lori Rittenberg, City Attorney.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive a speaker card under general public comment. We also received a speaker card on item number 1 and 3 for today's agenda.
Did you say for item number 3 as well?
That is correct, 1 and 3.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the neighborhood council category of commentary. Just 2 quick administrative items before our presentations. Agenda item number 9, the release of a stop payment notice. RJ Lalonde Equipment has transmitted that in the amount of $10,327.41 for furnishing heavy equipment rentals in connection with the Machado Lake Pipeline Project. The primary contractor is Mike Bubbalo Construction Company Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we receive number 9 forthwith by Commissioner Cabello? Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on number 9. Number 8 is the release of a stop payment notice. Lead Electric has transmitted the release of the stop payment notice in the amount of $249,920.88 for furnishing electrical instrumentation and materials in connection with the asphalt plant number 1 replacement and modernization project. The primary contractor is Papich Construction Company. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 8 forthwith by Commissioner Garcia? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. We have 2 presentations this morning, and we will start with Commissioner Cabello, our Vice President of the Board of Public Works, with our presentation from the Los Angeles Sanitation, the Board of Public Works, for our Recikla Star Awards. So we will start with Vice President Cabello.
Thank you, President James, and good morning to my colleagues and Bureau staff and our audience this morning. So we'll have our folks come up. Hi. So we are here to honor 2 folks who have received the Recikla Platinum Star Awards. Since it launched in 2017, Recikla has brought recycling to commercial and industrial businesses, apartments, and institutions throughout Los Angeles. The Recikla Star celebrates the local businesses and have gone above and beyond in making the necessary investments and behavior changes to achieve the highest levels of recycling. So we are here. Our first honoree is Mendocino Farms, a favorite of mine personally. Since enrolling in the Recikla program, Mendocino Farms has doubled its recycling service and now diverts 69% of their waste from its landfills. They've managed to make this change by innovating how their food is made. By preparing their food for their 25 statewide restaurants in one central location in downtown Los Angeles, Mendocino's Recikla efforts are positively impacting all of California. Mendocino Farms developed a new system for their material waste streams to be sorted inside their facility by purchasing green recycling disposal containers and training their workers on how to sort materials as they prepared products, reducing contamination. Mendocino Farms has helped dramatically reduce the amount of waste they deposit in disposal containers by operating a robust waste prevention program that's focused on moving away from single-use containers and procuring bulk ingredients. And Mendocino Farms, please join me in congratulating them for earning the Platinum Recikla Star Award.
And don't leave yet.
Yeah,
but go ahead. You can have a seat, but don't leave the building yet. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, we have the World Harvest Social Supermarket folks come up. Take off your visitor badges. We're going to take a picture. For over 10 years, the World Harvest Social Supermarket has served the Los Angeles community. Now through Recikla, World Harvest is at an astounding 90% zero waste. Each month, World Harvest produces more than 30 tons of composted material. They've partnered with the LA Zoo and saved the zoo $16,000 per month in animal feed costs. They have recovered more than 70 tons of food that would have been thrown away in the landfill and distributed it to hungry people instead. For the remarkable waste diversion and food rescue efforts, World Harvest Supermarket is receiving a Platinum Recikla star. Businesses like these set the model for all of Los Angeles by showcasing what is possible with Recikla as we move forward the road to zero waste. The Recikla stars will be highlighted on the Recikla website as examples for others to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just take a moment before we go to our next presentation to say to the two awardees that we have today, thank you for your leadership in this very important program. We are a national leader in this category now, and when the program was first instituted and implemented in the city, as you will have with any complicated program that is so important environmentally and across the board in the second largest city in America, you're going to have some complications. That is a natural part of the governmental process when you are taking hundreds of thousands, well, 60,000 roughly to 90,000 accounts, depending on who you talk to in the progression of the program, and move them into an exclusive franchise system for the benefit of our communities. Within 1 year, the haulers and the RSPs and Los Angeles Sanitation have righted the ship across the board on service, which is remarkable, such that folks that were skeptical some time ago are now interested in how we did it, which we were able to thankfully predict that would happen. I mention that because our awardees today, congratulations to both of you with your leadership and your partnership in this program. That's why we are having the successes that we are having. And for you to be an early awardee really even says that much more about you and your participation in the program. Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
I'd like to commend Commissioner Cabello for her leadership in overseeing the accomplishments that we have been able to achieve in the zero waste policy just in general, and know that the Bureau of Sanitation is a leader in the United States in terms of our goals and what we will do as one of America's largest cities in caring very deeply about effectively managing the environment. And today I want to commend specifically Mendocino Farms and World Harvest, because you are exemplars. You are an example of what we must do to support the reality of the goals that have been set by our leadership in the Bureau of Sanitation. What I hope is that every community will have a Mendocino Farms and a World Harvest organization within their community, because you have led the way. And if we had more organizations like the two of you, it's no doubt in my mind that we will reach our zero waste goals, and we will continue to be a shining example, not only for the state of California, but for the United States. So thank you so very much. I commend you, and we're excited about your achievements. Thank you.
Thank you. Women's Heritage Month. Any more on? Yeah.
Take a picture.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's go ahead so they can leave if they need to. Our two awardees before we move to the next presentation. If we could just have you up here for a quick photograph with us, we'll be right back on our agenda. Also, I was told that Mendocino Farms brought some food that's outside in the hallway, which those of you who have not experienced Mendocino Farms, trust me, you want to do that. They have amazing food. So thank you to Mendocino Farms for that. Great, thank you. So moving along with our agenda this morning, we have our Women's Heritage Month recognition and awards, and the presentations this morning will be done by our Commission Vice President, Commissioner Cabello, as well as Commissioners Garcia and Caloza.
Yep.
We are ready.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
The quorum is now at the podium.
Thank you. Well, good morning, President and Commissioners and fellow commissioners and bureau heads. It's an honor to be here today on our last working day of Women's Month. As of Monday, we are no longer Women's Month, but we wanted to make sure that we captured this month today. And before I actually give the official introduction and kind of why we're all here today, I want to introduce, we have a very special guest today joining us, former Commissioner of Board of Public Works, who now currently oversees our city services, Deputy Mayor Barbara Romero. She'll be giving a few remarks.
Great.
Good morning. It's good to be here. And I just want to say before I talk about all the amazing women that we're going to be honoring today, I just want to say, as everyone echoed about Recikla, I wanted actually to hear it because I think it's important that we, you know, as we implemented this program, that we actually celebrate the accomplishments and moving forward and reminding people of why we established this critical program in the city of Los Angeles and that we are leading the country on recycling. And we have to make recycling again cool at our schools because I think we forgot how important it is. It's one simple step that makes a huge difference not only in the city but in the country, but worldwide. So I just want to say congratulations to everybody involved in Recikla.
And Deputy Mayor Romero, a big thank you to you as well on the same. Go ahead.
So I just want to say, with women and celebrating women, I think we all know the mayor's goal and critical role that he thinks that women play in his administration. And he has been working closely on selecting women to be part of key positions in his administration. Including, I wanted to say here to there's quorum with the three women here to symbolize and say a shout out and thank you to the three of you because you know why the mayor selected you for all the work that you do, all your credentials, but it also helped that you were women because he wants women's perspective in these key positions that are making decisions about infrastructure. And that lens is very important to the mayor and to his administration. And I want to also say that the women here, I think one thing that I saw when I looked at their resumes and why they're getting honored, it's not about what they say, it's what they do. And I think that's one thing that women all know, that they just get things done. And it's important to recognize women, throughout the year, but I think it is important to, in March, to take an extra moment to give shout outs to all the women who are improving our city day in and day out and don't get enough thank yous and acknowledgments for their efforts. So I want to say to the 5 women, I think there's only 4 here because Natalie from BOE is out today and she'll get her recognition. So I just want to say congratulations and happy to be here on behalf of Mayor Garcetti. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. It's a pleasure to have you here at our board. As we were saying, every March we are in the city and throughout the nation, we celebrate Women's History Month. Within this year for us, as we are majority women, we came together and we decided that this year we would like to honor some of the women that work very hard out in the field. And a lot of these women have not been previously recognized for, XYZ reasons, but this is a year that we want to highlight their good work that they do out there. And more importantly, these are roles that are non-traditional women roles. And so this year when we came together as the 3 commissioners, we said that we were going to choose folks that are out in the field and that normally wouldn't be doing this role if it was many, many years ago. So we are very honored today to have brought together many of our women out in the field that make sure that our city services happen every day. We chose 1 woman from each of our bureaus. We have a Bureau of Street Services, who of course are women fixes our streets and sewers, or fixing our potholes. And we chose women from street lighting, the women that install street lights, also women that build bridges, like Natalie Moore, who's not here today, but we'll recognize her next week. And just everybody within the Department of Public Works that does a very hard work making sure our city services function every day. And with that said, we are going to start our official recognition and highlighting our women out there in the field. Commissioner Calosa.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. I have the privilege of bringing up our first honoree today. If you can please stand when I call you. Her name is Nellie Sefi Wiles from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Sefi is a Chief Construction Inspector with the Bureau of Contract Administration, serving as a Division Manager for the Metropolitan Construction Division East. She began her career with the City of Los Angeles nearly 31 years ago with the LAPD as a clerk typist, then as a police service representative. She then served as a materials testing technician 1 and 2 for GSD, the General Services Department. In her current role, she supervises plans, coordinates, and organizes professional and technical employees engaged in the inspection of a wide variety of large-scale public work construction projects, including federally funded and city cash contracts, private development special permits, and coordinating work activities with other municipalities, including Metrolink and Union Pacific. So that's a lot of work. She is the first woman to be appointed as Chief Construction Inspector. And I think most importantly, Sefi is a mentor and an advocate for other women in this field who may not see themselves in these non-traditional roles. I think, so many young women and, women in the field in general look up to you and your work and your leadership. So thank you for your service and congratulations.
Well, it's nice to be on the other side of the podium here today. I just want to say thank you for this honor. I'm deeply humbled. I didn't get here on my own, and even though I am the first, there are so many people that were my mentors that were able to guide me here to be here today, and I want to just pay it forward in my career. This is the best job I've ever had. I love my work, and I love serving the city of Los Angeles, so thank you for this honor.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Sefi. We love you too. Can we have Janelle Gardea join me? I'm really excited to be honoring someone from LA Sanitation and Environment. Janelle I got to meet her and got briefed by her, and she's incredibly impressive. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Janelle Gardea is a superintendent in the Livability Services Division for LA Sanitation, where she oversees the development of regional facilities and the deployment of the Clean Streets teams, which is not an easy job, trust me. She began her career with the City of Los Angeles over 23 years ago, I won't say that too loudly, as a clerk typist, and she's worked her way up. In 2007, she was promoted to Refuse Collection Supervisor, performing duties as a commodity supervisor. In 2018, Janelle was promoted to Solid Resource Superintendent, becoming the first woman to rise through the ranks in this classification in over 30 years. As a superintendent in the Livability Services Division, Janelle oversees the deployment of the regional facilities and deployment of the Clean Streets team. Janelle's exemplary work ethic, dedication, and drive has made her a role model for LA sanitation employees and of all ranks and classifications, and citywide as well. And as Effie said, she may be the first, and she may be the first in over 30 years, but we're going to do everything we can together to make sure that we're not the last. So please join me in congratulating Janelle Gardea.
Wow, thank you, Commissioner and Board. I am humbled and honored to receive this. This is all for the future women in LA sanitation. It was a long road, but well worth it. I love my job, and I'm eager to get LSD division to the next level. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Next, we are going to honor Melissa Wemesfelder from Bureau of Street Lighting. Can Melissa come up? Melissa Wemesfelder is a Geographic Information Systems supervisor with the Bureau of Street Lighting. She began her career with the City of Los Angeles in 2006 as a Geographic Information Systems specialist with LA Sanitation, where she produced routing maps and assisted bulky item drivers with mobile applications used for collection information. In her current role, Melissa manages and maintains the Street Lighting Geographic Information System, which includes overseeing street lights and conduit information, processing proposed plan data, and maintaining an efficient workflow within her team. Melissa is a great example of a woman breaking through barriers in her field. Her exemplary work and dedication make her a true asset to the Bureau of Street Lighting. Congratulations, Melissa.
Thank you so much for the recognition. I'm very lucky to work for the City of LA and a great group of people with the Bureau of Street Lighting, and I miss my sanitation family, but I feel very lucky for my opportunities that I've been given. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I get to present the last honoree for today, which I'm also very excited about. I'd like to welcome Gabriela Ortiz from the Bureau of Street Services, if you can come up here. Gabriela Ortiz is a service coordinator for the Bureau of Street Services. Prior to her work with Streets LA, Gabriela worked for the prior mayor's office for 2 years, assisting the mayor in developing strategies for the implementation of Million Trees LA. She previously also served as a council aide in District 14. Her current duties include supervising Streets LA call center, level 2 help desk, monitoring incoming requests from constituents both through calls and emails, handling all social media platforms for Streets LA, and resolving constituent concerns directly with division managers, council offices, and other city agencies. Supporting the Street Stat Performance Management System, Gabriela calculates the turnaround time for the most frequently utilized service request types in the My LA 311 and prepares the monthly dashboards for the Streets LA management team. Throughout her career, Gabriela has taken a special interest in hiring and placement of summer interns to develop the next generation of the city workforce, which is so important and critical, as my other commissioners have said, to make sure that we're not the last ones and that we're continually building on this pipeline of our city workforce. So thank you so much for your service, and congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm very humbled by this recognition. I also want to thank my executive team with the Bureau of Street Services and the staff with the Bureau of Street Services, because without them, it would be very hard to do my job. So I also want to congratulate all the ladies that also were recognized, and have a great weekend.
Great, thank you, Gabriela.
Thank you to all of today's honorees for your service. Your amazing work, what you do on a daily basis, leads to big results for the Department of Public Works as a whole, and we couldn't be prouder. All of you are really, truly paving the way for future generations of women who might not have considered a career in fields like construction, engineering, street services, solids, all of the stuff that we do every day to deliver our services to Angelenos. So your mentorship is and can make a world of a difference for women coming up. The board is so proud of you today, and we hope to carry on this tradition every year, starting this year. So congratulations, and join us for a photo over here.
One moment, we'll start with Commissioner Davis.
I would like to start off by
Sorry to my colleagues.
commending the women of the Board of Commissioners for the Department of Public Works, Aura, Cecilia, and Jessica. We are very fortunate to work with dynamic women starting here at the Policy Board. I want to also say that Mayor Garcetti has always led the way in gender equity. As you know, when we look at the commissioners in the city of Los Angeles, over 50% of them are women. So he has led the way. And even as we look closer at the city services that are delivered in the city of Los Angeles, he appointed a woman, Barbara Romero, who came from the Board of Public Works Commissioners as well, to provide leadership for city services. I made the mistake this morning of coming in and telling Cecilia, Cecilia, I wouldn't be where I am today if it were not for women. But given the announcement of each of our births, I think that would be true of all of us in the room today. I had the fortune of starting my career with two dynamic women, also from Los Angeles, and leaders here, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who's a leader in Washington, D.C., and then County Supervisor Yvonne Burke, both of whom gave me an opportunity. So really I was saying that women have really paved the way not only in our birth, but really in the leadership of inclusion of men, and many of them, if we as men in the room look at our own careers, how many of us can reach back and say that what we have been able to accomplish has been because women have led the way either by hiring us or giving us that very valuable tip and helping to organize us in a way that we were able to grow and to develop. So today, as we celebrate Women's History Month, we are very proud to know that each of you have helped to make a difference, not only in our personal lives, but in the development of this great city of Los Angeles. And I will conclude by saying I am committed and certainly sensitive to the fact that women need to have equity in terms of pay. We have a lot of single families led by women, and it is important that women get the same pay that we get as men in a job, because you are the leaders of many of the families in our city. And so we're so proud of this recognition today and look forward to continuing to grow in development because of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. That good job, because the majority voting bloc was standing over there. So we need their votes. But in all seriousness, and I was serious about that too, but in all seriousness, congratulations to all of you. Let me start. Sefi, there you are. You've had an incredible career with the city. You said two things that were really important. Most importantly, pay it forward. And all of you are doing that by being recognized today. And Sefi, maybe it's because I work with you more directly, face to face. The other thing that you did was you all talked about how much you love your work. And that comes through with all of you. Sefi, I work with you more one-on-one, so I get to see it more every day. And it came through today as well, and it's such an important thing for all of the people that come through our city. And we're talking tens of millions of people, not just the residents or the people that work here, but all the tourists that come to our city every year see the product of all of your work. And so congratulations and thank you for everything you do for our city. Janella and the Clean Streets team, and both of you, by the way, have firsts in your resume, which means that you are an existing historic figure for the city of Los Angeles. And as Commissioner Cabello said a moment ago, what is our collective responsibility, and we know it will be the case, is that the first will not be the last. And as we see from the history of this board, as well as the current makeup of this board, the future for Los Angeles is here, and your leadership and women in leadership is where we are headed under the leadership of this mayor, and the city is all the better for it. Melissa, you get the, it's one of the great things about street lighting is the being at the forefront of so many technological things, which all of our members of the Department of Public Works are, but it's so prominent in street lighting that your role there and your leadership there is really important for what people see in the future for their cities as they look to Los Angeles. And Gabriela, like I see Sefi every day, I see your name every day. In the work that you do, which is some of the hardest work at street services at Streets LA, the call center and dealing with the service requests, you make our job so much easier because the requests that come through us, well, we send them to you. And you make sure that they all get done, and you pointed out the executive team that you work with. And that is really important because we are all such a team, and we're really appreciative of your continued work and your stellar career with the city. And I, as the liaison to street services, let me just tell you that the entire time I've been here, you've made my job easier. So thank you for that. And to our majority of the board, with Commissioner Cabello, Caloza, and Garcia, thank you for your leadership every day and for bringing this together and recognizing these incredible women of our amazing Department of Public Works. And our Deputy Mayor, my direct report, Barbara Romero, thank you for your support over the years, from your seat right next, one over right next to me to just a little bit down the hall. We appreciate the support of your entire team, which, by the way, let me just say, are you 80% women in your team? Okay, so there you go. And obviously of the mayoral divisions, the best run of the divisions in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Romero. So with that, congratulations, everyone. And we will take one more brief moment for a photograph with our awardees, and then we'll be back on our agenda. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Campos, are we about ready to get started again? Okay, everybody, we'll go back to our agenda. We've got a couple of administrative items that we can wrap up as well. We've got a couple of items that have come for signature. The mayor has authorized myself, this is agenda item number 5. The mayor has authorized myself or 2 members of the board to execute contract amendment number 2 with the Hunters Point family in the amount of $297,000 to provide bathroom attendant and monitoring services for the mobile pit stop program at 5 new locations. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 5 forthwith? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 4, the mayor has authorized myself or 2 members of the board to execute contracts for various wage standards enforcement and city labor standards projects with pre-qualified firms on an as-needed basis for 3 years, subject to the approval of the city attorney as to form and legality. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 4 forthwith by Commissioner Cabello? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 6 is an authority for expenditure. USACE Finance Center, Bureau of Engineering and Office of Accounting requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $80,000 for the services associated with expediting the 408 permit fees for the Glendale Hyperion Complex of Bridge project. Ms. Lau. Welcome on a Friday morning.
Good morning. Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering Bridge Improvement Division. Before you is a motion presented by the Office of Accounting and the Bureau of Engineering for the Glendale Hyperion Complex of Bridges project. This project is over the LA River, and as such, it has jurisdiction that's controlled by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Prior to construction, we are required to obtain what is called a 408 permit. As part of this 408 permit, the Corps reviews our design plans and specifications, and they look generally for impacts that our project would have over in their river. So this motion requests approval of payment of $80,000 to the Army Corps of Engineers per the Section 214 agreement that was authorized by this board in 2017. And generally, the Corps and the city, they have identified personnel who will be dedicated to reviewing our permit application. And so this project is also funded by the Federal Highway Bridge Program, and so the cost will be reimbursed by the Federal Highway Administration. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions at all? Commissioner Cabello has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Any issue sending number 6 forthwith? We'll send number 6 forthwith. Agenda item number 7, Authority for Expenditure, Land Veritas Corporation, Sanitation, and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $202,000. That's $202,000 for purchase of riparian habitat enhancement credits based on the California Department of Fish and Wildlife's incidental take permit to reestablish habitat and perform monitoring work. Mr. Ruiz, or anybody else that would like to. Oh, there, you can do it there. You're good. Yeah, you're fine. We're good. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. The Bureau of Sanitation is requesting $202,000 for the reestablishment of the habitat through credits through the Fish and Wildlife Department. This is for the Wilmington Drain multi-use project as part of the LA River. It's also going to be for performing monitoring work. So we're just requesting the 2000 to be approved by the board.
Mike, is this something that we have, this may be something we do annually or every couple of years, but I don't recall. Is this a new one for us? This authority for expenditure?
President, I do not know if it's new, but I can get that information for you.
Okay, yeah, if you could just throw me an email on whether or not this is a new one. This one is seems new to me and interesting. I just and because of that, I don't really have a basis to compare whether or not we're spending the same as in prior amounts. But obviously, there would not be that context if it were new. But you could throw me an email in that direction. I would appreciate it.
Of course.
Or Gary? Oh, I thought maybe somebody else was going to chime in on it. I was seeing activity. Maybe not. Okay. Thank you. Motion made by Dr. Campos. You have something?
Yeah, Mr. President, if I can ask that the board approve this AFE as amended to authorize the board president or two commissioners to also sign the letter of agreement that's attached to the AFE. So I understand there's the AFE approval, but there's also a agreement for sale of credits that the board president could sign.
Which is attached as well.
Which is attached to the AFE.
Right.
So just approve
Which should be on
AFE as amended to authorize the board president to sign.
I would agree with that. Thank you. So that's a motion by Commissioner Cabello, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on agenda item number 7. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 7 forthwith. Agenda item, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 1, contract award North Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation Unit 4, Council District 9, recommending that the board find transmittals 2 and 3 to be unmerited as discussed in the report. Declare Spinello Infrastructure West Incorporated the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Spinello a contract for the project for $11,469,569 and authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney, Mr. Irvine, on number 1.
Thank you, President James. My name is Doug Irvin. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division. I also have John Pattison of the Bureau of Contract Administration with me to discuss this particular request to award for the North Outfall Sewer Unit 4 Rehabilitation Project. As previously mentioned by you, that we are recommending that the Board of Public Works find transmittals number 2 and 3 to be unmerited. Second item is that we declare Spinello West, or Infrastructure West, as the low bidder, to be the lowest responsive bidder and reasonable bidder, and award the contract to Spinello for the amount of $11,469,569, and that authorize the president and 2 members of the board to execute the contract for approval. Okay, a little background about this project. This project is to rehabilitate the North Outfall Sewer. We have about 3,400 linear feet of 63-inch sewer line and 3,100 linear feet of 72-inch sewer line. This is a semi-elliptical sewer line, and so it's not a circular one. And it's to rehabilitate it by installation of a liner, by slip lining, and rehabilitating or removing and replacing the maintenance holes. The city engineer's estimate on this was for $14,633,854, and we're looking at the contract being 715 calendar days. The bids were received on November 14, 2018, and 6 bids were received. The lowest is Spinello Infrastructure West at a bid of $11,469,569, and they were 21.62% lower than the city engineer's estimate. The second low bidder was JR Pipeline Company, and they submitted a bid of $12,790,252, which was 12.6% lower than the city engineer's estimate. As part of the local business preference program that applied, Spinello has pledged for MBE 6.61% versus the anticipated 4%. They pledged 0% for the WBE, which is anticipated at 2%. The small business enterprise, they pledged 4.21% versus 25%, which is anticipated. The emerging business enterprise is also 0, along with the disabled veterans business enterprise, which is 0%, and then OBE had 21%. The mandatory subcontracting minimum is 29.96%, which is greater than the 25% anticipated. As part of this project and the award of it, there was 2 protests that were filed and then 2 responses, and I'll have John talk about it here. But I also wanted to bring up that this project is a project labor agreement project, that Spinello has not been awarded any contracts by the board within the past 5 years. The bid bonds have been extended originally from February 2019 to March 29th, 2019, which is today, and that the project review committee of the Bureau of Sanitation and Bureau of Engineering agreed or approved for the total budget of $15,897,185, including contingency. Okay, and now I'll turn this over to John to talk about the 2 protests.
Thank you. Good morning, John Patterson with the Bureau of Contract Administration. Transmittal number 2 with this board report is a letter dated December 21st, 2018 from JR Pipeline, the second low bidder for this project. They protested the award to Spinello, alleging that Spinello did not meet the MSM requirements due to the classification of one of Spinello's bid-listed subcontractors, Thompson Pipe Group. BCA staff had determined that Thompson Pipe Group was a manufacturer's representative, and so credited Spinello at 60% of Thompson's bid-listed amount, the supplier rate for that. JR Pipeline was questioning Thompson's classification, claiming that there was possible brokerage relationship between Thompson and Amitech Poland, the pipe manufacturer for this project. In a follow-up letter dated January 10, 2019, being transmittal number 3, JR Pipeline's legal counsel, Musi and Associates, stated that JR Pipeline is seeking a determination and investigation into Thompson, stating that they are neither a materials manufacturer nor a manufacturer's representative, but are in fact a broker, and thus, according to Musi, Thompson does not qualify for the MSM credit as a manufacturer's representative. Additionally, Musi's letter stated that Thompson is represented by Spinello's bid as a trucking company, broker, and manufacturer's representative for Amitech, whereas Pipeline Carriers Incorporated, a firm not listed in Spinello's bid, appeared to be the actual trucking company intended for use for this project. Musi included documents attached to the letter to reflect that Pipeline Carriers had a registered office at 18585 Samuels Road, Zachary, Louisiana, being the same address listed in Spinello's bid as belonging to Thompson, and that Pipeline Carriers and Thompson appeared to have the same owner. Furthermore, Musi added that while JR Pipeline's bid protest was presented after the stated deadline, The protest was based on information significant to the city which was not made available to or known by JR Pipeline until recently. The deadline being that all protests must be submitted within 14 days after a bid due date. In transmittal number 4, a letter from Spiniello dated January 14, 2019, Spiniello was responding to JR Pipeline's protest, reiterating that Spiniello is the lowest monetary bidder for this project. Again, that bid protests are required to be submitted within 14 days of the bid submittal date of November 14, and that JR Pipeline's bid protest was dated December 21st, 2018, being at least 23 days after the deadline, and therefore should be properly disregarded as not being timely filed. In an additional letter, transmittal number 5, dated February 1st, 2019, Spiniello further responded to Muzi's letter, reiterating that both letters from Muzi and JR Pipeline are untimely submittals, that the letters present no alleged evidence which would not have become known in time to meet the bid protest submission deadline had Muzi done their due diligence. Spiniello has also included a letter testimony from Thompson in which Thompson declares themselves to be a family of companies which include a manufacturer and supplier of pipe and pipe products with manufacturing, storage, warehousing, and transportation operations in Rialto, California, Alvarado, Texas, and Zachary, Louisiana. Thompson's letter also states that the trucking firm Pipeline Carriers Incorporated is a captive entity of Thompson and does not offer for hire work to any other entities. Spiniello stated that these attributes of Thompson's operations meet the Business Inclusion Program definition of a vendor or supplier as a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which materials required for the use of the project are brought, kept in stock, and regularly sold to the public in the usual course of business. Spiniello concluded its response to Muzi by noting that JR Pipeline's bid was $1.321 million higher than Spiniello's low bid, requested that city staff disregard Muzi's and JR Pipeline's protest of award to Spiniello being the lowest monetary, responsive, and responsible bidder, per Spiniello's words. Staff reviewed the protest from protest and protest response and determined that JR Pipeline's bid protest is dated December 21st, 2018. The section of the bid specifications titled Bid Protest Procedures do require contractors to submit bid protest postmarked within 14 calendar days after the receipt of bids, which took place on November 14, 2018. However, due to the significance of the bid protest, the Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Edward Jordan, recommended that staff investigate and review the protest and determine whether or not Spiniello had been awarded the appropriate subcontracting credits towards meeting the MSM. Bureau of Contract Administration staff reviewed transmittal numbers 2, 3, and 4, and in their initial findings determined that Thompson was taking possession of the material quoted for the project, and that Thompson owned the delivery method to the job site, and therefore BCA staff had credited Thompson as a supplier. Thus, Spiniello received a 60% credit towards their MSM. BCA staff also reviewed the letter from Spiniello, transmittal number 5, which included the statement regarding Pipeline Carriers as being a captive entity of the Thompson Pipe Group, and that Pipeline Carriers Incorporated is only used for the transportation of Thompson Pipe Group. BCA staff requested Spiniello provide supporting documentation from Thompson supporting Pipeline Carriers as being wholly owned by Thompson, as alluded to in transmittal number 5. Staff then received confirmation under penalty of perjury, being transmittal number 6, that for this project, Thompson will use its own trucks and drivers, or employees of Thompson, will not use Pipeline Carriers Incorporated to transport the pipes for this project to the job site. That would make Thompson a supplier, bona fide supplier, for the purposes of MSM evaluation and credit. BCA staff will be monitoring this project. We will ensure that Thompson does in fact use their own trucks and does not use the trucks belonging to Pipeline Carriers for this project. Spiniello is aware that penalties may be assessed if Thompson does not perform as stated. So based on all of these findings, BCA staff recommends that the board find transmittal numbers 2 and 3 to be unmerited, find Spiniello to be the lowest responsible bidder for this project. Staff has conferred with the Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Edward Jordan, and he concurs with the recommendations contained in this report. Any questions?
Okay, John, thank you for the explanation. I don't have any speaker cards today from JR Pipeline, correct, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
I recognize that there may be an issue or two around the timing of the protest. I think that, I know we don't have Mr. Jordan here today, but I appreciate his recommendation, and I agree with his recommendation, that even though they were late, let's have the analysis done. Even with that analysis done, which JR Pipeline had the opportunity at least to review, they're not here today. What concerns me most, although it's alleviated by the declaration under penalty of perjury, I realize that Con Ed, and as the city's inspector, I mean, John, Mr. Reamer's here, his other official title is Public Works Inspector. You know, I recognize that you monitor these projects anyway. So the fact that the statement on page 6, BCA staff will monitor to ensure that Thompson uses its own trucks and not Pipeline Carriers, Inc. As stated, and Spinello is aware that penalties may be assessed if Thompson does not perform as stated. That's stuff that BCA has the ability to do anyway. I appreciate the added statement here, and I also appreciate the declaration that goes a step beyond, frankly, with a statement under penalty of perjury. So given all of that, the totality of the circumstances, and the fact that we don't have a representative from JR here, I'm comfortable going forward with this. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I just wanted to recap. Basically, who was the complainant again? Who filed the complaint?
The complaint was from JR Pipeline, the apparently second low bidder for this project.
So as I understand it, obviously JR Pipeline was under the impression that the trucking company did not have multiple companies, of which it was a conglomerate that they have and own, and of those various companies of which they are associated, one in particular does in fact manage the pipeline, and they directly transport it in their own area of business, and though they are not depending upon another company, they are specifically designated as a company that has and manages these pipeline products that we're using. JR Pipeline, is that the complainant again?
Yes.
Had a misunderstanding in terms of the capacity of the company that we're using. Is that pretty accurate?
That would be accurate, yes.
Okay. So then I understand why they had a misunderstanding, but I think obviously they're not being here to further pursue what they thought also speaks to maybe some discovery. If not, certainly I'm clear now in terms of your testimony, what occurred. So I would second your motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I would note that we do have representatives from Spinello and Thompson here if we have any questions, which I don't. So that's a motion seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Thank you, sir. Thank you, both, Doug. Any issues sending number 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Let's take care of general public comment right now and get that taken care of. Rose Cato? Rose Cato? Good morning.
I had spoken before to somebody, and I had some maps that I wanted to distribute to the board. Okay. But I can kind of see them. Thank you to the board for this opportunity to speak. My name is Rose Cato. I served on the West LA Sawtell Neighborhood Council from 2014 to 2018 and served as the Public Works Liaison during that time. For the past 2 years, I've been trying to reroute a portion of a run-walk event out of the residential portion of my community, an event that initially numbered 300 participants, but is now numbering an estimated 1,700. I am advocating out of public safety concerns and event abuses, including payroll fraud. There are many Japanese families in the area that were subjected to unlawful incarcerations and discriminatory treatment, so many Japanese are politically correct. Knowing that there is a sense of a political crime being perpetrated on this Japanese community for political reasons by the council district office and a neighborhood council board member. An older aged Japanese population, 3 Japanese churches, and a rest home are impacted. Since this concerns the granting of a special events permit, I would like to meet with President Kevin James to resolve this matter.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a date for this Run for Hope?
It's scheduled for Sunday, April the 28th. And they had a meeting, this last Wednesday, there was a meeting at the Neighborhood Council where they presented. I'm concerned also because they've been maligning my character as well, too.
What council district?
So this is CD 11?
CD 11.
Yes. And the
They will
neighborhood
not
council.
work with me. They will not work with me.
The neighborhood council is.
Neighborhood Council is West LA Sawtell Neighborhood Council.
Okay.
And I served on that council from 2014 until 2018 last
Have
year.
you had any? I'm not really allowed to have back and forth on the Brown Act stuff, but I'm going to violate it for one question. Have you had any communications with street services?
I'm sorry?
With street services, with the Bureau of Street Services?
Have I communicated with them?
Yes. Have you had any communications with them at all?
I communicated with Stephanie McFadden.
Okay.
About it has to do with the special events permit.
Okay. Thank you. Would you leave your contact information, an email address or something, so that we can reach out?
Sure. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So let's do
To Dr. Campos. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Dr. Campos, we don't have any other general public comment, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, then we'll close general public comment. Agenda item number 2, adding a project labor agreement, secondary sewer repair program, difficult access reaches, Unit 6, Northeast Los Angeles, Silver Lake, Boyle Heights, South Los Angeles. Recommending that the board add the Department of Public Works project labor agreement to the project. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Board of Public Works Commissioners and everyone else. My name is Shamika Wagstaff. I am presenting on behalf of the Bureau of Contract Administration, Office of Contract Compliance. We are requesting to add Department of Public Works project labor agreement to the secondary sewer renewal program, difficult access reaches, also called DAR, Unit 6 sewer rehabilitation project. A couple of acronyms are going to be used throughout my report. So, project labor agreement is PLA, SSRP is secondary sewer renewal program, and DAR is difficult access reaches. Okay. The project is located within Northeast and South Los Angeles. It includes Silver Lake and Boyle Heights areas, and it covers 6 council districts. The city engineer has estimated project cost to be about $14 million. The SSRP DAR Unit 6 project will repair and rehabilitate approximately 6.14 miles of sewer pipes in basins H20, H23, 24, and 25, 26, in 03, 07, 12, 13, 15, and 17. As you can see, it covers a lot of the basins. The project is primarily located in Northeast Los Angeles, although some construction will occur in the proximity of the Silver Lake and Boyle Heights areas, including South Los Angeles region. The project's general geographic borders are Los Feliz Boulevard to the north, Slauson Avenue to the south, La Brea Avenue to the west, and Los Angeles River to the east. The project will include sewer renewal, removal, replacement, and restoration. The rehabilitation consists of removing existing sewer maintenance holes and replacing them to restore sewer structure integrity and adding new sewer maintenance holes to allow future sewer operation and maintenance. The PLA provides numerous benefits for the city, including that we stay on budget, we complete it in a timely manner, we ensure that work is done safely and we're utilizing skilled workers with a commitment to training. And it facilitates an orderly settlement in the event of a labor dispute without strikes or work stoppages. The PLA will also maximize the economic benefit is achieved for the city's residents and communities. Completed projects covered by the previous and current PLAs have created an average of 13 jobs per $1 million of project cost. Based on this math, the DAR Unit 6 sewer project could potentially generate 182 jobs. Adding the PLA will ensure that construction work will include specific targets for hiring local residents, including apprentices and transitional individuals that may include barriers to employment, like homelessness, veteran status, and criminal history. The hiring targets within the PLA are actively monitored by BCA's Office of Contract Compliance. The PLA addition is recommended to the DAR Unit 6 Sewer Rehabilitation Project. That concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Wagstaff. Nicely done. We will start with Commissioner Davis.
Okay, I wanted to find out what is the timeline of the implementation of the project labor agreement? When do we anticipate that we would like to implement the PLA on the project?
Well, immediately.
Okay. And then you said 182 jobs.
Absolutely.
And is there a geographic target area in terms of our outreach to seek those individuals to interview for those jobs?
Well, it covers the 6 council districts.
Okay.
And we have made initial contact with multiple council districts.
I see.
So, to coordinate research efforts.
Sure.
For
Now,
the
how do
outreach
we go about in achieving the outreach with the council districts? Do we contact work source centers within those districts through our division here in the city? Or do we also include council field representatives from those areas to assist at the neighborhood block club meetings and et cetera?
There's a potential for both. We've just made initial contact, so it's in the early stages. But honestly, once we coordinate with the council districts, we can include that as well.
Sure. So, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Ms. Wagstaff, you may have said it already, but I'll just put an exclamation point on it for the oral record. The estimate for the total construction cost on this is $14 million. Thus, the 182 jobs that's estimated. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. I just want to say that you did such a great job in reporting. That you were very on point and in targeting. You explained everything really nicely. So congratulations for that. Yes. And also, in addition, I'm very happy to hear that we will be opening up 182 jobs to potential local residents. I'm very excited to hear that. And with that, I actually move to pass this forward.
Great, thank you. That's Commissioner Garcia made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, Ms. Wagstaff.
Thank you.
Any issue saying number 2 forthwith? We will send number 2 forthwith. Agenda item number 3, Council District 14, Bureaus of Engineering and Contract Administration. Request for qualifications, RFQ, design, build, finance, operate, and maintain maintenance of the Los Angeles Street Civic Building Project through public-private partnership agreement. Recommending that the board first authorize the city engineer to issue and advertise the transmitted RFQ, that's transmittal number 1, in local publications and to professional organizations, as well as be available for download from the City of Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network. That's BAVN. The website, www.labavn.org. Secondly, authorize the staff from the Department of Public Works, along with other members of the evaluation panel, to evaluate and select up to 4 respondents based upon the requirements and procedures set forth in the RFQ. And third, direct the city engineer to recommend up to 4 shortlisted respondents and the draft request for proposal documents to the Board of Public Works for approval. Obviously, that would be at some point in the future. We'll get more description from our city engineer, Mr. Gary Lee Moore. We have a couple of speaker cards as well. We'll get to those at some point during the presentation. Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for hearing this item. It's been a path to get here, and I won't say long because there's still the project in front of us. But in March of 2017, the City Council certified the final environmental impact report for the project. And this project that we're proposing here to go forward with a request for qualifications is for approximately a 750,000 square foot building about 450 feet tall, would have parking for close to 1,173 vehicles, and we planning for about 3,000 city employees to go into the building here. What we're talking about this morning is for a request for qualifications for the design, build, finance, operation, and maintenance method of project delivery. And one of the things that's key to this is that after the 30 years that it would be anticipated that the city would make availability payments, is that the building would be returned to us at what we say at an 80% quality of the building. So you wouldn't get the building back and have to make a major investment into the building. So we've come through this process, and we've had a wonderful working group working on this with the Mayor's Office, Council District 14, the City Legislative Office, the City Administrative Office, the City Attorney, and several departments here. And this is a joint report with the Bureau of Contract Administration. A couple other things I'd like to note for you this morning is that one of the, or some of the key objectives that we're trying to go forward with here is the transfer of the design build risk and long-term facility operation and maintenance risk to the private sector. And this is key in that payments are not made until certain milestones are met in this. We also, that's really key for us in this process here. Additionally, in the building, besides the 3,000 city employees, we anticipate there'll be a conference center. There'll be public displays showcasing the historical significance of Parker Center. I should note that the location of this building will be where the old Parker Center was, and the demolition is ongoing, anticipated to be completed by the end of this year. And there will be anticipated street-level retail space, child care center in the facility. One of the is the schedule. We're requesting today your approval, and we're requesting that we would be allowed to advertise or release the request for qualifications on Monday, April 1st. The due date will be May 28th, if indeed your board goes forward with this with the anticipated release date of April 1st. We'll then, after the proposals are received, as you mentioned, President James, we'd make a recommendation up to 4 firms and come forward, and we're anticipating late this year. And that's where we'll be releasing with those final 4 firms what we call a request for proposal. And that's where even greater details are incorporated, and basically it becomes the basis for the contract. And one of the things that we talk about is the responsibilities for operations and maintenance and who's going to do what in this building. We've laid out some of the operations and maintenance responsibilities that we say that the respondent or who will enter into a contract will be responsible for. We also talk about some of the responsibilities that will be maintained by the City of Los Angeles. For instance, the custodial activities, landscaping, security and control access, to name a few. We also talk about some of the items that it hasn't been determined the responsibility, whether it will be with the project or it will be retained with the City of Los Angeles. And so those discussions will continue during the upcoming months as we prepare the request for proposal. The last thing I want to say is to anybody who's planning on proposing, we're really looking for excellent proposals that have excellent design leads. I mean, this is the start of a revival of the downtown civic area. And we're really excited that this is going to be a beacon for this redevelopment of this area around the Civic Center. And we've got the rated criteria on page 4 in the report. But I want to note that, we've put 25% of the points towards the lead designer. So we really want to emphasize good design here. And with that, I know we have speakers, and I'll be glad to answer any questions now or after the speakers.
There's a couple of substantive clarification I want to put on the record, Gary, but before I do that, let me start with Commissioner Cabello. She may have some questions for you.
Yeah, thank you, President James. Mr. Moore, just curious as to whether we've used this design, build, finance, operate, and maintain method of project delivery on other projects in the city. I believe there's, at the airport might be one of them.
Right. Under council controlled and to the best of my knowledge, under the Board of Public Works, this will be the first time we're doing it. But as you said, Commissioner, it was used just recently at the airport to do the People Mover project. And so we have contacted our colleagues at the airport and are learning from them. We were lucky enough to have our Chief Deputy City Engineer, Deborah Weintraub, sit in on part of the evaluation on the airport, so Deborah brings knowledge. In talking about that, I do want to make sure that the team here has worked so hard, and if I don't get a chance after the questions, I do want to acknowledge our project manager, Reza Bagarzadeh, and our deputy city engineer, Mahmoud Karimzadeh, for their leadership. And I know others are, our city attorney liaison is Sean Torres is here also. And I know the mayor's office, Nick is there. I'm going to forget everybody, but I know the CLA is there. And it's just, the working group has been a tremendous, in our working relationship, Rich Llewellyn personally, the time he's invested in his team. And of course the mayor's office and Council District 14. Tremendous amount of time and effort to bring us to this request for qualification. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary. This is a big deal, as you mentioned. It's a big project. It's important to the city. It's important to the region, and it's important to the future of project delivery in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you to the entire working group. It's obviously a study of great collaboration in municipal governance with all the entities that you provided. I also want to thank, we have a representative that's here today from 721 from SEIU as well, with our labor partners at the table, in addition, as part of the process. And I know that the CAO himself has been directly working with them too. So one thing I want to do though, because while I obviously I support going forward with this, and I think it's important that we go forward collectively, particularly as a city, particularly when we get to the RFP process as well. There was one question that came up from labor, from SEIU 721, that I wanted to put on the table for you as we go forward. There was on page 12 and 13, the project company responsibilities. There are a number of categories, as you referenced already, Gary, that are items that we're going to keep in-house. And specifically, that's made clear in section 3.7 of the memorandum, including the subsections B through G. I mean, it very specifically says, subject to Part A, Section 3.5 KNL, the city anticipates retaining certain O&M responsibilities for the term of the project agreement, including, and you already mentioned, custodial, landscape maintenance, security, and it goes on to say obligations to update and refresh furniture, fixtures, and equipment, obligations to upgrade ITA systems and operating parking facilities. What's interesting about that, and where there could be perceived, not in the RFQ stage, but in the RFP stage, there's some previous language before, subject to Part A, Section 3.5 KNL. Well, if you look at 3.5 KNL, those reference the furniture, fixtures, and the ITA services. So I think the RFQ can be interpreted clearly, but because of the potential for ambiguity for the market, if you will, I'd like that to be clarified going forward in the RFP. And if there are additional discussions that need to be had with 721 and with the CAO's office and the city attorney's office, that's fine. There's time to do that. But when I read it, my intent on this is that B through G are carve-outs, for lack of a better term, that you've already described, that we maintain at the city. And that's where I think we're headed. But because of it may just be a drafting, the way something was drafted, it's subject, somebody else might read it in an ambiguous way. And I think for the RFP, I'd like for it to be a little bit more clear.
We'll absolutely do that. I would show an example in the information technology. Things that we'll talk about is the cabling inside of a building. Who would maintain that? Should the builder maintain it for the 30 years? Should the city maintain? So those are, I appreciate, and we'll definitely clarify it in the request for proposal.
Okay, great. Thank you. I mean, I feel like we're 95% there. Ideally, we're 100% there with our intent, but because of that, and I want to thank 721 for pointing out the potential that somebody could read it a different way, and we'll get that clarified. All right, thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President. Gary, yes, this is a very exciting project coming along. I was briefed on this, but this is, you mentioned that people movers use the same model, but that's not the only one, right? There's examples of other cities that have used the same model, like Long Beach, right? Would you tell us a little bit about that? And then also one of my recommendations would be, as we prepare a lot of these folks that will apply for the RFQ, we can show them examples of other designs just like this and how they've been successful. So can you tell us a little bit of where you also got some of the other examples of this?
Sure. The team, we had the opportunity to actually tour the City of Long Beach's new civic building that they're building in concert with the library there. And we met with their team and learned about them. So you're correct. City of Long Beach is using, and is almost completed with their building now, and using the design, build, finance, operate, and maintain. Also, the courthouse that was built there used the design, build, in Long Beach, sorry. I got a little too inside baseball. It is baseball season, so it was great Dodger victory.
And we know you're very pleased about that,
Yes,
Mr.
I
Moore.
did get that in. They also used a design, build, finance, operate, maintain. Also, UC Merced also has used the design, build, finance, operate, maintain. We actually held workshops, and we brought these people here to City Hall, and we had the city departments involved and so forth. We spent almost, I think twice we met with them, but
it's almost a full day.
Almost a full day, and so we really had a round table learning best practices. On top of that, because it is a specialty, we've hired consultants to help us with this, and we have Arup is helping us. Also, the city attorney's office has hired Ashurst, and they Ashurst has extensive experience in doing this acronym DBFOM, Design, Build, Finance, Operate, Maintain. And so we've tried to gather as much information. It's been done a lot in Canada. It's been done in Europe, and definitely is growing here. And we see it as another tool in the tool belt. We're not proposing that every project will go this way. The traditional of designing it, by city employees in-house, managing the construction by city employees, and then going out to the traditional low bid method. That's not going to go away. This is just another tool. This is something special in this building.
Thank you for that, Gary.
Thank you, sir. No more questions for you at this moment, but I've got a couple of speaker cards. We'll see what that raises. Mr. Cox from Trammell Crow and John Finkeef, in whatever order you guys would prefer.
Good morning, President James and honorable commissioners. Brad Cox, I'm Senior Managing Director, Trammell Crow Company, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of CBRE. We're a publicly owned company headquartered here in Los Angeles, and I'm a Los Angeles resident. Our company has successfully partnered with the counties of Los Angeles and Riverside County on multiple DBFOM 6320 model P3s. I'm here to request that the RFQ includes the P3 project delivery options as recommended by the May 25th, 2018 Municipal Facilities Committee report to City Council. That approval requested an evaluation of both two models, the design-build DBFOM and the nonprofit DBFOM with long-term operations and maintenance 6320 options. So there's two P3s out there. The recommendation was approved by the Budget and Finance Committee on June 25th of 2018 and further confirmed by the Information Technology and General Services Committee report on July 3rd and finalized in official action of the LA City Council on July 3rd, 2018 in Council File number 141604 with mayoral approval on July 6th. The BOE draft RFQ before you today requests a DBFOM delivery model with what we call a pass-fail criteria that mandates an $80 million upfront first loss capital equity requirement. This is a fundamental flaw in the way that the RFQ is drafted to effectively analyze both options. The 6320 P3 model has a zero upfront first loss equity requirement. That equity requirement could result in an additional $11 million in annual payment obligations, which is over $345 million over a 30-year term. That's a lot of affordable housing, firemen, and police. And we're very respectful of the time and effort BOE has put on this process. They've done a phenomenal job. And we recognize that both procurement and financing options are technically complex and require a very sophisticated analysis for the benefits to be properly evaluated and analyzed. What we're asking today is for the Commission to condition their approval that the RFQ be modified to eliminate the upfront first loss capital equity requirements so that both P3 options could be effectively analyzed pursuant to the approval by the City Council Oversight Committee. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, sir. And Mr. Finke?
Mr. President, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm the President of Public Facilities Group. PFG is a nationally recognized not-for-profit that designs, builds, finance, operates, and maintains public facilities for the benefit of state and local government. I have pioneered the 6320 project over 20 years ago, or process over 20 years, and have completed more DBFOM projects than any other domestic practitioner. It was surprising to me to hear the board talk about interviewing one side of the DBFOM model without talking to the more prevalent approach. 6320 has done more P3s in a design, build, finance, operate, maintain model than any other entity or any other approach. It has proven itself the most cost-effective form of P3 delivery. When we use it with local government, we often see them come back for second and third buildings. The University of Washington has done 9 buildings using the 6320 DBFOM model. State of Washington has done 4, or King County, pardon me, has done 4. State of Washington has done 2. Salinas, California has done 2. And Los Angeles County has done 2. They are readily available to look at and analyze. I'm addressing you today because the current draft of the RFP does not comply with the intent of the council direction to compare the two approaches. It effectively precludes tax-exempt municipal findings and mandates a threshold level of $80 million in private first cost capital. With an estimated project cost of $750 million and a realistic impact of about 400 basis points for the first source capital model. Over a 35-year term, that will add $800 million to the project cost. That's like buying a car for $750,000 and turning around and insuring it for $800,000. It makes no sense. The necessary changes to the RFP are easy. They require two critical modifications. First, make the first cost capital component a requirement of those that propose first cost capital and ask for the pricing of it. Make the tax-exempt bond commitment demonstrate the capability of selling tax-exempt bonds and the pricing of those bonds. That becomes the new pass-fail test. The second important component is
Time, Mr. President.
Sir,
is
go
to
ahead,
allow-
you need to wrap up.
The second important component is to allow both approaches to operation and maintenance, the availability of payment approach and the 6320 competitive bid approach. Both are well tested in the market. There are more examples of the 6320 approach by far. The RFP can then
Thank you,
actually
sir.
do a true comparison.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Moore? Gary, any response to the issues that were raised?
We fully believe that we've implementing the council's direction that we do allow the 6320. I know personally the hours we've spent talking about this, and with our financial advisor, with our attorney, our advisors, and in fact on page 14, 4.2, we say that we allow alternative financing, so the 6320. So about their direct concerns, we'll be glad to review them. Absolutely. We can always make a change. There's no intent to exclude the 6320 proposers. So we'll be glad. We once again would ask that we're aware of the issue. We believe it's been incorporated, but always willing to listen again. And if a change needs to be made, we can always issue an addendum to the document. So we could still go forward on April 1st, meet with them, get our advisors involved, and if changes need to be made.
My motion is going to be that we approve this today and you go forward on April 1st.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I do think it's referenced in 4.2, so thank you.
Sure.
So thank you for the response. That'll be my motion. Seconded by Commissioner Cabello and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Thank you all. And again, thank you to all of the members of the various negotiating teams that were involved in this final product, as well as our speakers today. Agenda item number 10, we have an oral report on contracts that are expiring within 90 days. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in on number 10 for what you've described as your goat puppet.
You want to talk? Yeah, I didn't read the item, asshole. Let's just give it a... All right. So we have expiring contracts, and we have Joel Jacinto apparently has successfully transitioned and now will be known as Jessica Caloza. Yes, that's very good. Yeah, well, they do these transgender surgeries really good now. Look at that, huh? Looks like a real woman. Awesome. So now we have 5 puppets in the meeting. 5 puppets. You're a puppet. No, I'm not a puppet. I'm a goat. So we say, fuck all these contracts. Let every one of them expire. We don't want these contracts. These contracts are worthless. They're junk. They're like junk bonds. And of course, the staffer over here from engineering had a curious look on his face when the man said that insuring a $7 million bond for $8 million makes no sense. No, we know people that have made millions of dollars doing just that. Now, of course, it's a federal crime, but everybody's paid off. So, you know, that's what maybe you want to look into that. So, again, if they expire, let them die their own natural causes. And then from the ground up, we will have new bidders. bidders that have not paid off City Hall, bidders that are not under FBI subpoena, bidders that pay their employees fair. In other words, transparency. But if you renew these contracts, the continuous dirt that the FBI is digging for will continue. It will besmirch our reputation. Fuck these contracts and fuck the mayor because he's really gay, and God bless Joel Jacinto on his transition. Thank you.
Mr. Kim Mr. Chen, let me take care of engineering first. You don't have any personal services contracts that are expiring in the upcoming quarter, correct?
That's correct.
Good thing you were on board duty anyway, otherwise we would have excused you earlier. Mr. Kim from sanitation. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Rep, City Attorney, Executive Officer. My name is David Kim from the Central Contracts Unit of LA Sanitation. We have 35 contracts expiring within the next 120 days. 30 contracts will be renewed. Ecology Auto Parts, K&A, Transportation, Mario's Trucking, CR&R for hauling of municipal solid waste from carts to designated facilities. LA San will exercise a 5-year renewal option contained in the contract. Electronic Recyclers International Incorporated for e-waste collection and recycling services. LA San will exercise 3-year renewal option contained in the contract. We have 24 on-call contracts for planning and technical services for wastewater, stormwater, and solid waste programs. LA San will exercise 5-year renewal option contained in the contract. RNG Finucci Farms for custom farming operations of Green Acre Farm. LA San will exercise a 3-year renewal option contained in the contract. We have 5 contracts that will not be renewed. Hoffman Southwest Corp, National Plant Services for sewer assessment using closed circuit television. LA San will execute a new contract selected from the proposer's RFP process. On-site truck washing incorporated for mobile washing services for LA San's refuse collection truck fleet. LA San will execute a new contract with selected proposers from the RFQ process. ACOM, formerly URS Corporation, for planning and technical services for wastewater, stormwater, and solid resources program. ACOM is already part of the 24 on-call contracts. This is created a duplicate contract due to the acquisition of URS Corporation by ACOM, and so this contract will not be renewed. Lastly, Sims Recycling Solutions for e-waste collection and recycling services. This is a backup contractor, was never utilized during the contract term and will not be renewed.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Any questions for sanitation? Self-explanatory. Thank you, sir, for the oral report. We appreciate it. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, February 20th, 2019 by Commissioner Davis? Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on the meeting minutes. No other meeting minutes today, correct, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
Okay, so have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend.